Hi everyone, welcome to the third week of the Pacific Salmon Awareness Project. This week we are covering what we can do, so that's the importance of citizen science and also existing initiatives within Canada. So firstly, Canada's Department of Fisheries and Oceans has identified Pacific salmon as a species of interest. So they've identified it in northern Canada and reached out to citizens, so mostly recreational anglers and people, in this case in the Northwest Territories, to look out for Pacific salmon and also collect them in order to be investigated by the department and to track their distribution throughout northern Canada. Citizen science also allows for a better understanding of invasive species in the Arctic, especially since Pacific salmon are just newly being found in the Arctic. It's important to keep tabs on them pretty early, so that's aiding in early detection of invasive species, providing more data and detection resources. So instead of just relying on scientists or ecologists in the area to look out, we have more eyes, especially with anglers that are already in the area looking out. If they just provide their data, that makes it a lot easier to figure out what's happening and what's changing. Also, aiding in garnering support for management initiatives. Getting the public involved helps kind of bolster the importance of these sorts of invasive species management initiatives, and also makes scientific knowledge accessible to the public by getting them involved and interested. So this is just a graphic from that paper discussing the impacts of citizen science. So they did look at some marine case studies of citizen science initiatives, and they found that it motivated participants to take action, also helped them understand the value of their contributions, having strong engagement even before species have arrived, and just promoting further citizen science and engagement from the public, and again bolstering that importance of these initiatives and early involvement in invasive species management. And lastly, there's a decent amount of research into the role of social media when it comes to invasive species management. And social media contributes to passive citizen science, which is where, by posting, not necessarily with the intent of providing data for scientific means, but this example was from people posting pictures of fish on Flickr. Scientists are able to garner data and use that to bolster their studies as well. And it also provides a unique insight on the human aspect of invasive species management. So that is seeing how people are interacting with invasive species. The second study, the one published in 2022, was looking at spear fishermen versus anglers. And they found that invasive species had a really high number of views because people are interested in them and they're really interesting and aggressive. And it just shows how the public is more interested. And by posting on social media, you're garnering that interest and fostering people's curiosity and investment in invasive species management. So it's really important that people get involved and that they understand why it's important to manage these species.
Hi everyone, Jen here now. So the use of social media platforms like Facebook is a great way to reach the general public and spark new conversations. So one of their initiatives is posting on Facebook, and so they have this Arctic Salmon Facebook page, and they post progress updates about research being done, and they post their findings in a way that the target audience can understand, which I personally love. They share some of their sampling techniques they use on the fish, like collecting scales for determining the age. The post on the left here was made during the first summer of COVID, and this shows that research is still being done despite the fact that the pandemic had put a lot of things on pause. They also appreciate photos locals send in, like the one on the right, because the researchers are generally not the ones catching the fish. So photos like this are sometimes hard to come by. They do plenty of interviews with local news stations and magazines, as well uh, and they post those links on their website. Sorry. Also, on their Facebook page, they post opportunities for working under other scientists researching Pacific salmon, for instance, like a master's research program. like the one on the left here that was posted in 2019. About a year later, they found their candidate, and then they made a follow-up profile for him, like a profile post introducing him, which is pretty cool. But I'm not sure if this guy found the opportunity through this link. There have also been postdoc research opportunities, and some of the universities that are included in this are Carleton University and the University of Fairbanks, Alaska. Pacific Range expansion in the Northwest Territories is the perfect example as to why we need to advocate for more northern biodiversity research, as well as collaboration of the sciences and local knowledge via community monitoring. So, if you are looking at doing a master's program, it's a good idea to look at what research is being done in the Northwest Territories right now. From the Sahtu Renewable Resources Board, under their monitoring programs that they list there, they show a list of people or programs that have helped fund the research of Pacific Salmon Range expansion. So, like Fisheries and Oceans Canada, University of Manitoba, the GNWT, the Gwich'in Renewable Resources Board, Fisheries Joint Management Committee, and the Eber Arrow postdoctoral fellowship to Karen Dunmore. And she is like the head of the Arctic Salmon program, which is pretty cool. So, in conclusion, I hope this campaign has changed your perspective on Pacific salmon. Usually in the media, we hear about their populations declining in the West Coast regions as a result of climate change, but we don't hear too much about how their habitat range is expanding to new areas as a result of climate change, which can lead to them becoming a potentially invasive species. Pacific salmon are fantastic indicators of climate change in the Arctic, and the environment up there is changing at a much faster rate than the rest of the world. These are our references, and thank you for watching, everybody.